What is up, world? This is your host Louis Reynoso, bringing you another episode, another week about what's going on in the WWE universe. So if you are interested to be entertained, to be informed about what's going on, then relax, sit down, get some popcorn, do what you gotta do, because it's coming up next. Our first story for today's episode is none other than the announcer, the voice of ECW, Joey Styles, was released from the WWE, but reasons are unknown. Some speculations point that the reason why he was released from the WWE was the contribution of what he had to say on his controversial segments in his interview with Katie Kelly on Facebook on his Q&A shoot interview. It was a controversial interview, it was very entertaining, but he was very blunt on certain topics. Some of the things that he mentioned was that it was ridiculous that Raw's new championship title, the WWE Universal Championship, is such a stupid name. It is very confusing, and he even suggested that the new title should have been called the WWE Raw Championship. Whether that is a good name or a bad name, it doesn't really matter, but what matters is that a lot of fans do not like that the WWE Universal Championship for Raw is such a lame name. Another thing that he had mentioned that is one of Vince McMahon's pet peeve was that the championship title is called a title but not a belt. Obviously a belt is what you use in order to, you know, hold your pants up and not be all showing off your butt crack. But according to Joey Styles, he said that a title is nothing that's physical, it's not a physical object. So when you use a title as a weapon, you're not really using a physical object, you're using a belt, essentially. The next comment he said was regarding the 3-man booth on Raw. Now there are 3 individuals that are commentating on matches on Raw. Yes, Raw is a 3-hour show. Yes, there is a lot of action going on. It's a very fast environment. So at the end of the interview with Katie Kelly, it was very interesting because he kind of foreshadowed him getting fired. He even said that this is what finally will get him fired, which is kind of weird and kind of scary. Like, you're actually predicting your own job firing you? What? That doesn't make any sense. It's like he wanted to get fired. But nonetheless, that's what he said. He said that people will remember this interview because we really don't know if that was what triggered the WWE to take such action due to such controversial interview. The next story is pretty funny because none other than the UFC star Conor McGregor, he is adding fire on his Twitter account. He is going back and forth trashing the WWE superstar. He even called a few wrestlers, or most wrestlers nonetheless, messed up pussies. And on top of that, later on his Twitter, he had said that he could knock and slap off every head of the entire roster, which is pretty funny coming from him. He even had this to say about none other than John Cena. What's the main guy, John Cena? He is 40. He is 40 years of age. He is walking around in a luminous orange t-shirt and a headband talking about nobody can see him. We can see him right there. He is a big, fat, 40-year-old failed Mr. Olympia motherfucker. It is interesting what really is Conor's intention in trashing the WWE. He keeps going back and forth with other wrestlers on Twitter, but speculation points that he is doing this publicity stunt in order to hype his match with Nate Diaz, which is the night before Summerslam. So it's kind of, you know, smart move, I think, but I don't know really. So we should see what happens next week. Is Mickie James coming back to the WWE? Well, who knows? But the WWE posted up earlier this week an article showing the top 3 hottest agents that could go to Raw or SmackDown Live. And in that list, Mickie James made it. Do Raw and SmackDown Live have James on the brain? New blood has invigorated the women's division in WWE, but few would argue that seeing a veteran like Mickie James come to Raw or SmackDown Live to square off with the likes of Sasha Banks, Charlotte, or Becky Lynch wouldn't be a sight to behold. In other news, Stephanie McMahon spoke at a Beyond Sports United event in New York about LGBT, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender. And it was interesting of what she said, and it was great news to the LGBT community. And this is what she had to say. We will integrate LGBT characters into our programming. And I do think there will be an opportunity to integrate some of those storylines in the near future. The last story for today's episode of WWE Top 5 Weekly Story is kind of bizarre, but it's pretty interesting and important and funny, I guess. But none other than Seth Rollins, he was banned from a music festival. Watershed Country Music Festival prohibited many items, and one of those items was none other than WWE Seth Rollins. There was pens, there was pointers, there was umbrella, there was drugs, there was so many different types of weapons, but having none other than Seth Rollins in the list was actually pretty hilarious. But anyways guys, there you go. Thank you for joining me on this week's episode. If you like this content, definitely stick by, because next Sunday it's gonna be another episode. So definitely subscribe, thumbs up, because that really does help. And if you have any questions, any disagreements, any comments, just drop them downstairs like every other week. And that is about it. But anyways guys, this is your host Luis Reynoso, because you already know so. And guys, it's time for me to log off.